Hello everyone. Welcome to the serial lectures on traditional Chinese culture. There's a saying describing tourism in China. Temple hopping in the daytime and sleeping at night. Temple hopping, visiting temples. There are numerous Buddhist temples in China, and Buddhism is one of the three ideological streams of China, together with Confucianism and Taoism. Today, we will talk about Buddhism in China. Shall we begin with the features of Buddha? What is Buddha? First of all, let's get something straight. Buddha is a human being, not an immortal. Buddha is an equality supporter. Buddha is not unique. Everyone has an opportunity to become a Buddha. Buddha is not the creator of all creatures. Buddha is in this world. Buddha is a human being, not an immortal. Buddhism is the only religion that has no gods or goddesses. In Christianity, Jesus Christ is the Son of God, the Savior. Father, Son, and Holy Spirit are the Trinity of God. In Islam, Muhammad is the messenger of Allah. However, Buddha is a human being, not an immortal. Sakyamuni believes that everyone's life is determined by his own deeds, and even Buddha can't decide who should go to the heaven and who to the hell. Buddha is an equality supporter. Buddhism preaches infinite mercy and compassion, which means holding affectionate love to everyone, no matter who they are. At that time in India, Brahmanism was a predominant religion before the rise of Buddhism, developed in northern India. Brahmanism established the strict four social classes known as castes. The caste system hindered the economic development of India. Unlike Brahmanism, Buddhism looked equally upon people, irrespective of the castes, the rich or poor, the noble or humble. Also, Buddhism disapproves that non-human creatures are created to give human food. Buddhists are vegetarians. Buddha is not unique. Everyone has an opportunity to become a Buddha. Buddha is a human being, and the only difference between him and the ordinary people is the time of awareness. Buddha is a name for all the enlightened people, not only referring to Sakyamuni. All living beings have Buddha nature. Everyone with Buddha nature may attain Buddhahood. Buddha is not the creator of all creatures. Buddhism does not admit the creator of all creatures. In Genesis of Christianity, Jehovah, the God, is the creator. Jesus Christ is the Son of God. Buddhism does not believe that there was a first start of the universe. A new start is just the end of the former affair. The causal relationship, the cause and effect relationship is circulating and endless. Buddha is in this world. Buddhism preaches the view of getting into the world, not getting out of the world. Buddha seeks enlightenment, but he is not separated from the world. Who was Buddha? Sakyamuni was the Buddha. Here, Sakyamuni Buddha is sitting on a lotus blossom. Lotus is considered by Buddhists as the purest flower on earth. Lotus grows in soil but remains unsoiled in blossom. The Buddhist world is as pure as the lotus world. We can see the back halo, the nimbus. The Buddha can illuminate anyone, anywhere in the world. The founder of Buddhism was Sakyamuni. His secular name was Siddhartha Gautama. Gautama was the surname. Siddhartha was the given name. He was known as Sakyamuni, meaning sage of the Sakya family. He was the Buddha of the current world, the hierarch of the Sahaland. He was a prince, the son of a king of the Sakya clan in India in the 6th century BC. When Prince Siddhartha was young, he enjoyed a life of royal luxury. His father did everything possible to make him happy and free from care. He was raised in great luxury. He married at the age of 16 and had a son. His son later became his disciple. However, during his excursions, he saw people suffer from birth, senility, illness, and death. Disturbed by his experience, he decided to renounce the world and search for an ultimate solution to human sufferings. He left home at the age of 29 and lived in austerity in mountain forests. He broke away from the material world to seek the source of suffering. He lived a strict ascetic life for 6 years. He got enlightenment. He was awakened and attained Buddhahood at the age of 35. On his chest is a swastika, the time-honored talisman, the totem. It is symbolic of the sun, strength, and fortune in ancient India. It symbolizes auspicious omen and virtue in China. It has nothing to do with Hitler's Nazi and fascism. He spent the rest of his life, his next 45 years, preaching his ideas until his death. He died at the age of 80 after assembling a group of disciples who continued to spread his teaching by word of mouth. Here, Sakyamuni is entering nirvana, a state of complete bliss, happiness, and peace. What is Buddhism? Buddhism is the pursuit of wisdom. Buddhism is a religion followed by 300 million people around the world. Buddhism was originally a branch of Hinduism. It has its origin about 2,500 years ago. The word Buddhism comes from Bodhi, meaning to awaken. Buddhism is the pursuit of wisdom. Buddha, therefore, is a title, just like professorship, which everybody may achieve. If Buddhas are doctors, Bodhisattvas are masters, simply in a lower degree of wisdom, and Arhats are bachelors. Buddhism has 3 rules. The 3 treasures of Buddhism are Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. Buddha is the teacher. Dharma is the Buddhist wheel, namely the Buddhist doctrines and teachings, known as Tripitaka. It is said that the Buddhist wheel can eliminate all earthly worries. Sangha refers to the monks. Here, Buddha is preaching to his first 5 disciples. Shall we probe into the theories of Buddhism? The 4 noble truths of Buddhism are suffering, the cause of suffering, the extinction of suffering, and the way leading to the extinction of suffering. Buddhism is dominated by pain and suffering. Everyone is subjected to the trauma of birth, decrepitude or senility, sickness or illness, and death. Sorrow is the universal experience of mankind. To live is to suffer. the cause of suffering is self-centered desire and attachment. The extinction of suffering or the removal of sorrow can only come from the removal of desire. Therefore, eliminate desire and attachment, and thus achieve nirvana. The word nirvana comes from Sanskrit, referring to a state of eternal peace, harmony, happiness, and bliss. A peaceful, detached state of mind. The way leading to the extinction of suffering is the Noble Eightfold Path. Desire can be systematically abandoned if one follows the Noble Eightfold Path. To achieve nirvana, one must follow the Eightfold Path. Now, shall we make an analysis of the Noble Eightfold Path? The right knowledge is the knowledge of the existence of suffering, the origin of suffering, the cessation of suffering, cessation, stopping, and a path leading to the cessation of suffering. The right thought is to have malice towards none and have compassion for all living creatures. Malice is the evil, vicious, or ill intention. To have malice towards none. The right speech is to abstain from lie, slander, deceit, harsh language, and malicious gossip. The right behavior includes 5 commandments. Do not kill, do not steal, do not lie, do not be unchaste, and do not drink intoxicants. The right livelihood is to engage in a suitable activity to earn a living, and abandon such occupations as slave dealing or prostitution. Don't be a hooker or whore. The right effort is to develop virtues. In detail, evil qualities not yet arisen may not arise. Evil qualities already arisen may be abandoned. Good qualities not yet arisen may arise. Good qualities already arisen may be retained, increased, and perfected. Right mindfulness is to overcome the state of semi-alertness and become aware of what is happening to oneself, to be self-conscious. Right meditation is to renounce, to give up sensual pleasures. Mentally penetrate deep into the psyche and achieve inner peace. There exists the rotating wheel of 6 realms. Buddhist doctrine is based on transmigration. Human beings, actually every living creature, are in the perpetual cycle of birth and death, called reincarnation. Men are mortal, but death is not a once and for all thing. They enter the rotating wheel of 6 realms: heaven, human, asura, animal, hungry ghost, and hell. Asura is a half-god, half-man fighter. He is irritable, brave, and combative. Here is the rotating wheel of 6 realms. The stone inscription, the stone carving on precipice in Dazhu, Sichuan province. Buddhist wheel is the symbol of Buddhism. Clockwise, the 6 realms are heaven, human, hungry ghost, hell, animal, asura. Heaven, human, and asura are the 3 good realms. Animal, hungry ghost, and hell are the 3 evil realms. Good deeds bring you to a better hierarchy of the 6 realms when you are born again. Bad deeds, however, do the contrary. Documents stored in a computer can be cancelled at will, but what we have done cannot be cancelled. What has been done has been done. The information is stored and will accompany you life after life, and it determines which realm you enter. There is no dominating God who controls your destiny. We are our own master, making our own fate. What we are at present is the result of what we have done in the past. What we will be in the future is decided by what we are doing at present. What goes around comes around. Achieving merits or accumulating virtues, therefore, is encouraged. Only when we are completely free from lust, hatred, and folly can we manage to break away from the rotating wheel and achieve perpetual enlightenment. To do no evil, to do only good, to purify the will is the doctrine of all Buddhas. Buddhism advocates that all 4 basic elements are empty. The universe is made up of 4 basic elements: earth, water, fire, and wind. Earth, solid materials such as earth and rocks. Water, liquid materials such as body fluid and lava. Fire, hot things such as temperature of living creatures and heat of celestial bodies. Wind, air in the atmosphere and air inside living beings. But all these four basic elements are empty, not substantial. All matters are composed of atoms. Atom consists of nucleus and electron. Nucleus is made up of proton and neutron. The elementary particles, protons, neutrons, and electrons, are actually not substantial materials but energies. Thus, the whole universe, in the final analysis, is made up of magnetic fields and energies, with nothing substantial. What we see with our flesh eyes are but illusions. And this is Einstein's perception. Matter is the result of human illusion. Only magnetic fields and energies exist in the universe. God smiles when man thinks. And this is the perception of Buddhism. Form is not different from emptiness, and emptiness is not different from form. What is form? That is emptiness. What is emptiness? That is form. Shall we move on to the Buddhist development in China? Buddhism was spread to China during the Eastern Han Dynasty. In general, the development of Buddhism in China can be divided into 4 periods. Initial introduction, rapid development, peak of prosperity, and slow development. Buddhism was founded in the 6th century BC in ancient India by Siddhartha Gautama. Buddhism was first introduced into China in Eastern Han Dynasty. Many Buddhist scriptures were translated and explained. The earliest Buddhist temple, White Horse Temple, was built in 68 with the help of 2 Indian monks who were invited here to translate Buddhist classics. Here is the White Horse Temple in Luoyang, Henan Province. This legendary temple was honored as the cradle of Chinese Buddhism. Buddhism developed quickly in the Wei, Qin, northern and southern dynasties. When more Buddhist scriptures were translated, Buddhist ideas were popularized, and the number of Buddhists was on the increase. Here is the Yungang Grotto in Datong, Shanxi Province. Yungang Grotto was first built in the Northern Dynasty in the 5th century. Master Fa Xian was the first Chinese monk traveler. He was an eminent monk of the Eastern Jin dynasty. Master Fa Xian and his companions went on a pilgrimage to India for Buddhist scriptures from 399 to 412 in the Eastern Jin dynasty. They started from Chang'an, going through mountains and deserts, and finally reached India. They returned to China by sea. They reached 29 countries and brought back a huge amount of Buddhist classics. He devoted his remaining years, the rest of his life, to the translation of Buddhist scriptures from Sanskrit to Chinese. He also wrote a book recording his own journey named Kingdom of Buddhism or Legend of Fa Xian. Here is the portrait of Master Fa Xian. Buddhism got unprecedented development and reached its heyday, its climax in the Sui and the Tang dynasties. Many new Buddhist denominations were founded. The Longmen Grotto was located in Luoyang, Henan province. It was first built in Northern Dynasty. The big Buddha statue here was carved in the Tang Dynasty, sponsored by Empress Wu Zetian, the only female emperor in Chinese history. The Buddha statue looks harmonious and charismatic, with plump round face, crescent eyebrows, tender eyes, straight nose, long ears, and a small mouth revealing a peaceful smile. Xuanzang was an eminent monk. In the early Tang dynasty, Xuanzang journeyed to India for 17 years and brought back and translated scriptures propagating Mahayana Buddhism. Xuanzang translated Buddhist scriptures from Sanskrit to Chinese in the Big Wild Goose Pagoda. Here is the Big Wild Goose Pagoda in Xi'an. Journey to the West depicts Xuanzang's pilgrimage to the West, together with his 3 disciples, Monkey King, Pixie, and Sandy Monk. The novel makes him a mythological figure. The book is listed among the 4 great classic novels. The other 3 are Dream of Red Mansions, All Men Are Brothers, or Water Margin, and The Romance of 3 Kingdoms. Jianzhen was an eminent monk. He was a blind monk. Jianzhen sailed to Japan 6 times from 743 to 754. He finally reached Japan by sea. However, he was so tired that he lost his eyesight. He propagated Buddhism and is credited with the introduction of the Litsu school to Japan. The Litsu school attaches much importance to Buddhist discipline. In the late feudal society, because of social unrest, Chinese Buddhism was conservative and slow in development. However, it was regenerated by absorbing Confucianism, the Chinese world outlook. In fact, Buddhism, Confucianism, and Taoism intermingled with each other through the long history. They go very well with each other. There are three major types of Buddhism in China. Mahayana is known as Big Raft Buddhism. Hinayana or Theravada is known as Small Vehicle Buddhism. Lamaism is the Tibetan Buddhism. Lamaism is a mix of Mahayana and Theravada, sharing many Mahayana teachings. Mahayana is Sanskrit, meaning big raft or big vehicle. Mahayana Buddhism was introduced into regions inhabited by Han people, the largest ethnic group in China, about the 1st century, mostly prevailing in Northern Asia, China, Japan, Korea. It reached its peak of popularity during Sui and Tang dynasties. The earliest Buddhist temple was White Horse Temple. The goal is not just the individual escape from the wheel, but the salvation of all humanity through self-sacrifice of those enlightened few. People can seek guidance from bodhisattvas and wise beings and help each other to get enlightenment. Not necessary to be monk or nun. The universal salvation is compared to big raft. There are 8 sects, 8 schools of Mahayana Buddhism in China. Zen sect is also known as Chan sect. The honor means meditation. Pure Land sect, Tiantai sect, Dharma Image sect, also known as Yoga sect, Flowering Splendor sect, Triple Sutra sect. Litsu school attaches much importance to Buddhist disciplines. Esoteric Buddhism versus exoteric schools. Esoteric school is also called secret Buddhism. In Japan, it is called Shingon. The other sects all belong to exoteric schools, like the Zen sect and the Pure Land sect. Among them, Zen sect and the Pure Land sect are most influential. Zen sect is most influential. Shaolin Temple is the ancestral temple, the birthplace of Zen sect. Shaolin Temple is also famous for its terrific martial arts. Zen master Bodhidharma was the first patriarch who brought the Zen sect to China in the 5th century. He was the founder of Zen school in China. In Shaolin Temple, we can still see the cave in which Bodhidharma sat silently, facing the wall and meditating for 9 years. Here in the ink painting, Bodhidharma is sitting silently, facing the cave wall and meditating. Zen sect became prosperous in the 7th century in the Tang Dynasty due to the influence of Master Huineng, the 6th patriarch of the Zen sect. His real body is still consecrated in Nanhua Temple, Guangdong Province, 1,200 years after his passing away. Here is the real body of Huineng, miraculous yet genuine. Here is Zen master Xu Yun in recent history. He enjoyed longevity. He was 120 years old. And here we can see his sarira, or remains after cremation. The meditation school neglects all rituals and idols, which are thought to be superficial and outward, and not useful for the pursuit of true wisdom. Zen school seeks enlightenment through meditation, sitting still and meditating, usually on the subject given by his master, such as, who are you? What is your real self before your birth? Such concentrated meditation may eventually lead to thorough enlightenment. The true wisdom thus obtained involves the complete understanding of man and nature. But such inner understanding or tacit understanding cannot be fully expressed by language. Truly enlightened monks can understand each other with only a few words or even none. For example, once in a lecture, Buddha Sakyamuni picks up a flower and shows it to the congregation with a smile on his face. Nobody understands him except his disciple Kasyapa, who smiles back. The Buddha then declares that his profound yet wordless Dharma should be passed on to this wise and clever follower. But such meditation is suitable only for those quick-witted practitioners. Here is the portrait of Descartes, the French philosopher. He said, "I think, therefore I am." This sect, therefore, is complemented by another popular one, the Pure Land sect, which is characterized by uttering the name of Sakyamuni Buddha all the while, an easier approach for people at all levels. If the Zen sect calls for detachment from all things and stresses their emptiness, the Pure Land sect goes just the opposite direction, with emphasis on existence. There does exist the Western Pure Land, where we can go upon death. Buddhism holds that emptiness and existence are just two sides of one coin. The pursuit of existence, in essence, tallies with the emptiness. By chanting, uttering, whispering Amitabha Buddha's name, and by mentally picturing the grand and solemn Western Pure Land, one can do away with evil thoughts, purify the mind, and eventually be able to go to the Western Pure Land. This land is no other than your own heart. Amitabha Buddha is the head of the Western Pure Land. His name is so well known among Chinese people that they say Amitabha in almost all situations. Greeting, prayer, joy, sympathy, desperation, even curse. Just like Christians say Jesus. Esoteric school is also called secret Buddhism. In Japan, it is called Shingon. The other Mahayana sects all belong to exoteric schools, like the Zen sect and the Pure Land sect. However, the 5 Tibetan sects mainly practice esoteric Buddhism. Esoteric teachings are secret, mysterious, and not available to anyone, whereas exoteric teachings are clearly written on books, and therefore are accessible to everyone. Esoteric practitioner must learn from a master and eventually become spiritually united with that guardian. Both esoteric and exoteric schools belong to Mahayana teachings. Hinayana or Theravada Buddhism was also called Pali Buddhism. Pali is the language that was spoken in the temples in ancient India. Hinayana was introduced from Burma about the 9th century into regions inhabited by the ethnic minorities in Yunnan province, like the Dai nationality. It is prevailing mostly in Southeastern Asia. It is the oldest and most traditional school known as Way of the Elders. Hinayana Buddhism emphasized the virtues of monastic life. The monastic life is the best way to achieve nirvana, to attain nirvana, be monk, nun, and meditate. The goal is to become the enlightened one, achieving individual personal salvation through one's own efforts. Lamaism, or Tibetan Buddhism, is a form of Buddhism intermingled with the indigenous Tibetan religion known as Bon. It was developed in Tibet in the 7th century, mainly from Han Mahayana sources. It is a mix of Mahayana and Theravada, sharing many Mahayana teachings. The person designated as living Buddha is believed to be the reincarnation of the deceased living Buddha, like the Dalai Lama. How to designate living Buddhas? There is a committee of monks. They will make a search for a soul boy. The monks start the search 1 year after the death of the previous living Buddha. They travel in different directions to find all male children born at the time the former living Buddha died. There may be several such soul boys, and then each is presented with a group of utensils. If the child takes an interest in one of the utensils owned by the previous living Buddha, the boy is assumed to be the possible reincarnation. If 2 or more potential soul boys pass these 2 tests, lots are drawn from a gold urn to determine the correct identity. In the picture, lots are drawn from a gold urn to determine the correct identity. The ritual is rather unique. Five main sects are developed within Lamaist Buddhism. Nyingma is known as Red Sect because the monks of this school wear red hats. It is the oldest and most traditional sect. Red Sect was founded by an Indian master who was invited to Tibet to preach Buddhism in the 8th century. Sakya is known as Striped Sect because of the 3 stripes of red, white, and black that are painted on the walls of all its monasteries. Kagyu is known as white sect because its monks wore white robes in the past. Bon is known as black sect. It grew as an overlay of Buddhism on top of the indigenous Bon tradition. Golok is known as yellow sect because its monks wore yellow hats. It is by far the most powerful and influential sect. Yellow sect was founded by Master Tsongkhapa, an advocate of religious reform. Tsongkhapa reformed the old red sect and founded the yellow sect. The yellow sect received political support from the Qing dynasty government, which appointed the fifth Dalai Lama to unify the tribes in Tibet. Thus, it was by far the most powerful and influential sect. Its monks wear yellow hats and gowns. Lamaists often chant the 6-syllable mantra to relieve stress and meditate, and pray for wealth and longevity. Now, shall we get a mantra? Please listen to the 6-syllable mantra of Lamaism.
Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum.
The mantra literally meaning hail to the rule in the lotus. It has great strength, profound wisdom, and tender mercy. Changyang Gyatso was the 6th Dalai Lama, born in 1683. He lived in an unstable age and was the victim of the political struggle between the Qing dynasty, Tibetan Buddhism, and Mongolia. His death was a mystery. He was a poet, a literary figure, handsome and romantic. He had great influence on Tibetan literature. He had reformed the style of poem in Tibet, making the poems rhythmic and catchy. People believe that his poems are mostly love poems. Now, shall we move on to the Buddhist influence on Chinese culture? Through the cultural exchange between China and India in ancient times, Buddhism has had a deep and tremendous influence on Chinese philosophy, language, architecture, literature, various arts, astronomy, medicine, and gymnastics. In philosophy, the philosophic concepts put forward by Neo-Confucianism were deeply influenced by Buddhism. Mahayana Buddhist influence can be seen in thousands of Chinese classics. In language, Buddhism has no doubt enriched Chinese language. The word enlightenment, 觉悟, comes from Buddhism. In architecture, pagodas show a great Buddhist influence on Chinese architecture. As we know, pagodas show a great Buddhist influence on Chinese architecture. The wooden pagoda in Yingxian County, Shanxi Province, is tower-shaped, like a storied building. It is most imposing and it is mountable. Songyue Temple Pagoda in Henan Province, with dense eaves, is not mountable, the first floor being the highlight. In literature, the poems of Tao Yuanming of the Eastern Jin Dynasty and Wang Wei of the Tang Dynasty were inspired very much by Buddhist sutras. In various arts, Buddhist paintings and sculptures are rich, brilliant, and priceless. There are also Buddhist murals, frescoes, and grottos. In astronomy, Yixing, a monk of the Tang Dynasty, was the first to compute the length of the meridian, the longitude. Yixing compiled a number of books on astronomy. In medicine, over 10 kinds of medicine and pharmacy books, prescription books, were translated from Indian language into Chinese in the Tang Dynasty, from Sanskrit into Chinese. In gymnastics, monks in Shaolin Temple developed various Indian exercises into Chinese martial arts. Now, shall we come to the mudra of Sakyamuni Buddha? Mudra is the hand sign. The mudras of Sakyamuni Buddha include meditation sign, preaching sign, fear not sign, sign of supreme generosity or sign of giving hope, earth touching sign. Meditation sign. Sit with the legs crossed and put one palm on top of the other. This is the mudra of Buddha in meditation. The Buddha is concentrated on meditation or absorbed in meditation. Buddha got enlightenment under a Bodhi tree. The leaves of Bodhi tree are in the shape of heart. Preaching sign. The thumb and index finger or middle finger or ring finger form a circle. This is the hand sign when Sakyamuni is preaching, symbolizing wisdom and cultivation, giving lectures to educate people and convert people to Buddhism. Here is the statue of Sakyamuni Buddha in the Jade Buddha Temple in Shanghai. fear not sign. Raised hand, palm outward. The hand sign can make people feel at ease without fear. This is the mudra when Sakyamuni is saving all living creatures from misery. Sign of supreme generosity. Sign of giving hope. Put the hand down, fingertips drooping, palm outward. This mudra indicates that Buddhas and Bodhisattvas can make people's prayers come true with compassion. The two signs are often used together. Here is the giant Buddha on the Lingshan mountain in Wuxi, Jiangsu province. Earth-touching sign. Sit with legs crossed and rest the right hand on the right leg. The fingertips touching the ground, indicating that Sakyamuni had subdued all devils and demons, and he had devoted all his life to the emancipation of mankind, and this can only be witnessed by the great earth. Here is the Jade Buddha in sitting posture in the Jade Buddha temple in Shanghai. The right hand shows earth touching sign, and the left hand is meditation sign. Three Buddhas, divided either by space or by time, are worshipped in Mahayana Buddhism. Horizontally by space, three Buddhas are enshrined in Mahayana temples. In the middle, Sakyamuni Buddha is the hierarch of Saharland. Medicine Buddha is the hierarch of Eastern Brightwood. Amitabha Buddha is the hierarch of Western Pure Land. Vertically by time, there are Buddhas of three ages. Sakyamuni is the Buddha of the current world. Dipankara is the Buddha of the past world. Legend goes that when he was born, he was surrounded by lights. Thus, he was honored as Buddha of fixed light. Maitreya is renowned as the future Buddha. The close-sack monk with a big belly is the incarnation of Maitreya. Sakyamuni Buddha is believed to possess all the virtues of the universe, venerated as the great sage. Here is the Buddha statue in Maijishan Grotto. Maijishan, the haystack-shaped mountain, located in Tianshui City, Gansu Province. The Buddha statue is a clay sculpture with a woman's figure. His hair is in the chignon with a whirlpool pattern. A kasaya wraps his shoulders and cascades down smoothly and beautifully. Kasaya is the monk's robe. He has long and thin eyebrows. He is smiling mysteriously and kindly. The statue has not only a smile on his face, but a smile all over his body. When this statue was created in the 6th century, China was experiencing a traumatic period, a painful period with endless wars. The statue is facing the despondent secular world with a smile and magnanimity, tolerance, thus giving people faith in life. Here the right hand is fear not sign. The left hand is the sign of supreme generosity, giving hope. Medicine Buddha is the hierarch of the Eastern Right World. Believe in him, you can dispel all kinds of illnesses. He holds a medicine bowl, denoting that he can heal both physical diseases and mental sufferings. Here, the right hand is the preaching sign, giving lectures. Amitabha Buddha is the head, is the hierarch of the Western Pure Land. He is the most widely worshipped Buddha in China. Amitabha is honored as the Buddha of limitless light and the Buddha of limitless life. He has a lotus stand in his hand. Whoever follows his instructions will be taken by the lotus to the Western paradise for good. Amitabha is the chief Buddha of the Pure Land sect. He enjoys nationwide popularity, and his name is uttered everywhere, inside as well as outside temples. Bodhisattva Maitreya was designated as Sakyamuni's successor. He would descend to the earth billions of years later and achieve eventual Buddhahood. He is therefore renowned as the future Buddha. The Leshan giant Buddha in Sichuan province is 71 meters in height. It is the biggest Buddha statue, stone Buddha statue in the world, listed among World Cultural Heritage. The statue of Bodhisattva Maitreya here is imposing and majestic. Here we can see an adorable image with a fat, smiling face and a big bared belly. There is a couplet about him, saying that his big belly can tolerating what is intolerable in the world. He often smiles, laughing at everything laughable under the heaven. He is popularly called Laughing Buddha or Happy Buddha. He is very popular in China. The statue enshrined here is not the real image, but the incarnation. It is the image of a monk named Qi of the 10th century, nicknamed Close Sack Monk. Qi wandered about to beg alms, with a cloth sack on his shoulder, laughing all the way. He was carefree and compassionate. At the moment of his last breath, he left a message. Maitreya, true Maitreya, incarnating himself into billions of images and showing up time and again, is not yet identified. People then realized that he was the incarnation of Maitreya, and his image has ever since been enshrined in the first hall of the temple, greeting visitors with his broad smile. Guan Yin, the goddess of mercy, is popular among people for her benevolence. The literal translation of Guan Yin is observing voice. That is to say, the Bodhisattva is always ready to give a helping hand, riding on the turtle over the sea, whenever she hears a cry of suffering from people. Anyone facing a disaster or a danger will be saved as long as they chant her name. The Chinese people have been worshipping Guan Yin for more than 1,000 years. There are many statues of the goddess, such as Guan Yin with 1,000 hands and 1,000 eyes, and Guan Yin with 11 faces. The goddess of mercy was originally a male Buddha in Indian Buddhism. But after he was introduced into China, he gradually transformed into a woman, becoming the embodiment of all good human qualities, being gentle, graceful, kind, and tolerant. The Mogao grottos in Gansu province are considered the foremost representative of grotto arts. Over a span of 1,000 years, from the 4th century to the 14th century, a great number of people came here to build grottos on the precipitous cliffs, known as Cave of 1,000 Buddha statues. Here is the clay sculpture of Guan Yin in the Cave of 1,000 Buddha statues in Dunhuang Grotto. The painted statue was completed in the Tang Dynasty, with a chignon on the head, crescent eyebrows, gentle eyes faintly smiling, plump arms, benevolent expression, and elegant bearing, eulogizing maternal love and feminine beauty. There are 4 mountains of Mahayana Buddhism. They are the preaching places of 4 Chinese bodhisattvas, respectively. Mount Wutai in Shanxi province is the preaching place of Bodhisattva of great wisdom. Mount Putuo in Zhejiang province is the preaching place of Bodhisattva of great mercy. Mount Emei in Sichuan province is the preaching place of Bodhisattva of great virtue. Mount Jiuhua in Anhui province is the preaching place of Bodhisattva of great vow. They are particularly sacred to Mahayana Buddhists. Manjushri, Bodhisattva of great wisdom, is preaching in Mount Wutai. He is riding a blue line. There is a white pagoda in the middle of 5 peaks. The pagoda of Lamaism is in the shape of an overturned alms bowl, many being white. Esoteric sect and exoteric school coexist here. Esoteric, the secret sect. Exoteric, the evident school. Coexist here. We can see both green temples and yellow temples here, which is rather unique. The monks are living in green temples of Han Buddhism. They wear gray robes, while the lamas are living in yellow temples of Lamaism. They wear yellow robes. Guan Yin, Bodhisattva of great mercy, is the most popular Bodhisattva in China. She is preaching in Mount Putuo. Here we can see 1,000-hand Guan Yin. Samantabhadra is the Bodhisattva of great virtue, preaching in Mount Emei. He is riding a white elephant, which is auspicious and peaceful. White elephant is a brand of Chinese battery. It is of good quality. However, the battery did not sell well in the West because white elephant in the West is symbolic of being useless and burdensome. Legend goes that an emperor gave a white elephant to a minister. The minister had to feed it, and he became poor because the white elephant had a huge appetite. Ksitigarbha is the Bodhisattva of great vow, preaching in Mount Jiuhua. The earth's treasure vows to save those in hell, saying, "If I don't go to the hell, who else will?" So much for today. Thank you very much.